All right, welcome to. This is just a short, kind of unexpected, off the hip video. It's going to be in the Agile Institute series. Normally, I would do a mentoring session at this time, but um, my mentee requested more time to accomplish the goals that we outlined. So um, I'm going to use this time still in this same context and show something pretty cool. So I got a request to look over something built by my mentor, Mike Story, using that he used to learn Python. He has a long career in computer science and mostly used other programming languages. So he's diving in deeper to Python, and he created this repository that he's requesting me to check out. So I want to do this on my channel here. Yeah, this is a public repo, so it's not like I'm showing anything. The Discord message is private, but I didn't show anything but the message that had the link. So here's here's where I have open right now. I was clearly I just posted another video, so I have my workspace up from that. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out of that workspace, and then so the first thing I'm going to do is stop the Jupyter notebook. Then I'll do a PWD, and then I'll do an ls. So we can see I'm still in the repo. So I'll do a cd backpack, and then do a PWD. So I'm at the root ls. Now I've got a number. Now I've got another one. I have Agile Institute. So this is for Mentor Hub, but this is also, I will pull this. So I'm going to say, I'm going to do mkdir. I'm then going to do code reviews. Okay, switch into code reviews and do a git clone. And there we go. So now what I'll do is move into this and do a code dot. And now my Visual Studio Code is centered around this repo here. So the first thing I'll open is the README, and then I'll get that in the full view. So this is grid cell neighbors. This is a Python 3 plus PyTest koan that requires you to solve the grid-cell neighbors problem. Update the methods in community.py to make the PyTest tests in test underscore community py path. So this is obviously an important file. Both of these are. So so we're going to need to update the. So this is a koan, which basically means like a practice problem, as far as I understand. Let's see here. So community.py, there we go. And then there we go. So now we've got both of these files ready to look at some point. But right now, let's go back and look at the README. There we go. So prerequisites are Python and pipe venv. We can install the prerequisites. So let's start there. So we're going to do a control. Oops, and I actually don't have that key. Yeah, I don't have that key. I could hop to something else, but for now I'm just going to do, I'm using a new keyboard here. So I'm going to do view, and then I'm going to select the terminal. Okay, so now I'm going to create a virtual environment. So Python 3-m venv. And then I will do an ls-a and do a cat on the .gitignore. And so venv is already ignored, so I don't need to update that. And we can see there's no changes in my repo. This is in gray here, so it's being ignored to my local instance of the repo. All right, so there we go. So now let's install, well, actually now that we've got this created, let's do a source venv bin activate. There we go. And then we're going to do the first installation of the dependency. So now I don't have this. I guess this is one feedback I would leave. So let's start the feedback in a notepad, and then deliver that with a link to this video, and then in a message. So I'll have to pull this up again a little bit, showing private messages, showing that the public on a YouTube channel is, I think, a little bit iffy. But I'm not scrolling up showing the history, anything like that. I'm just focusing on the ask here. So the ask was to peer review the koan, and to identify some bad habits. So let's actually start, and I've got about a half an hour for this because as I said, I had something planned for this time that was canceled, so I can use this time for something else that is related. So yeah, let's start a ChatGPT prompt for this. So and then we're going to feed it this, but the thing is there's no shoot. Yeah, there's nothing. It doesn't do, because it no longer uses extensions. It uses these goofy agent things. It's a lot harder to get it to search things on the internet, I found. But let's just feed in things to it. Okay, but let's prompt it more carefully. So like, hello, Chat GPT. I am volunteering. I am doing some volunteer work, and I was requested to review some Python 3 code. Please help me fulfill this request. Here is the request in full. Okay. Okay, and then here is a link to the public GitHub repo where the code is stored. If you cannot access the link, then let me know. I will paste in the contents of whatever files are necessary. Please see the screenshot for the hierarchy of files and folders in the project. Okay. Or I'm going to say here is the... Okay, and then we're going to do it like this. And we're going to do tree-l. Oh, that's surprising. Usually I have it. All right. Okay, tree is a good one. I recommend using that. So tree-l4. Okay, and then yep. So all right, that should be a good enough prompt for that, and then we'll take it from there. Now, the other thing we could do is create an agent. Oh, you know what? It can browse it.
To review the code effectively, we need to look at the contents of community.py and test_community.py. These files contain the implementation and test cases, respectively. Please paste the contents of these files here so I can provide a thorough review and feedback on Python code.
All right, there we go. That's better. Audio check looks good. I'll be right back in a moment. All right, I'm back. So let's review this prompt here. So, or the results of this prompt. So it did search a site. That's big. It can actually go up and review that without having to create an agent or anything like that. To review the code effectively, we need to look at the contents of community.py and test.py. These files contain the implementation and test cases, respectively. Please paste the contents of these files here so I can provide a thorough review and feedback. So let's do that to help prompt it. I have my own, just right off the bat, what I would say is the you should have all your dependencies in the like this way of installing dependencies. I want to have a chat with. I want to have a discussion with ChatGPT about, because I'm used to doing it with like pip install, so I don't even know what pip env is. Maybe it is pip, but it's a Python dev workflow for humans. So I want to have more comprehensive discussions about that with ChatGPT, because I've never really used it that way. Okay, so please paste the contents of these files here. So there's community.py, so let's paste the content of that file. All right, so then we'll paste the contents of the next file. Now this file is quite a bit bigger. This is a unit test file, so we can tell whether or not the code works by passing it these test cases. So that already right there is a good habit. Because remember, the ask was to see if bad habits are being developed. I would, just off the top of my head, I think there's a better way to handle the package dependencies, but using unit tests is a great habit.
Code review for community.py and test_community. By community, the community class is currently incomplete and requires implementation. Here's a suggested approach. Initialization, storing matrix and distance. Implement validation for the matrix and distance. Member counting method. Implement logic to count members within a given distance. Test_community. The test cases are well structured, covering various scenarios. Ensure the community class implementation aligns with these tests. Here's a detailed feedback for the test file. Setup. Use meaningful names for tests. Ensure add cases are covered, which is already done well. Recommendations. Documentation. Add doc strings to explain methods and parameters. Validation. Add input validation in the community class constructor. Add cases. Ensure add cases are handled, especially with varying matrix sizes and distance values. By implementing these changes, you will improve code readability, maintainability, and ensure the code follows good practices.
All right, so let me feed in the README first. Okay, great. Great. But let's actually slow down and start with the README file. Here it is. Now, right off the top of my head, in response to the ask, okay, my first instinct is that it would be a bad habit to install packages in the way to install dependencies in the way specified in the README. Do you agree? Act as an expert in this, in the relevant knowledge domains.
The provided README specifies the steps for setting up and running tests for the grid cell neighborhoods problem in Python using pipenv. Here's a breakdown and some recommendations. Issues and recommendations. Dependencies installation. The README suggests using pipenv run install, but the correct command should be pipenv install. Using pipenv run is not appropriate for installing dependencies. Running tests.
Oh, really?
Command to run test is correct, but it could be made clearer by specifying it separately. README structure. Run test instructions. The community constructor is provided with a matrix and a distance. The matrix is a two-dimensional array of numbers. Numbers greater than 0 indicate neighbors of blank or communities. All points in the matrix that are within the specified distance of a neighbor should be counted in the community. You calculate distance between 2 points as the sum of row delta and call delta. i.e. from 2, 1, 2, 0, 4 would be the sum of the differences in the two dimensions. 2, 0, plus 1 to 4 equals 2 plus 3 equals 5. The array dimensions do not route. That is, the first column should...
Alright, well, okay. Okay, so you do think there is something valid in my initial instinct that when they ask is to review this koan, this GitHub repo for any bad habits, that it could be a bad habit to install dependencies in the way it is given, and a better habit perhaps would be to use pip install and to create a virtual environment, to use a requirements.txt file, correct?
Yes, your initial instinct is correct.
Yeah.
Using pipenv is a valid approach, but it's also important to ensure the commands are correctly saved. Generally, creating a virtual environment and using a requirements.txt file is a widely accepted practice. This ensures compatibility and ease of setup for other developers. Here are a few best practices. Virtual environment and dependencies. Create a virtual environment. Install dependencies from requirements.txt. Generate requirements.txt. Updated README example. Run tests.
Okay. Okay, but tell me this. For this project, what would have to go in the requirements.txt file? It would be only unit tests, right?
For this project, assuming the only dependency is unit test, which is included in the standard library and doesn't need to be listed in requirements.txt, the requirements.txt file might actually be empty.
Okay.
However, if you plan to use PyTest or any other external libraries, you should include them in the requirements.txt file. Here's an example assuming you're using PyTest for testing. Create requirements.txt. Update the README to use requirements.txt. Run tests. This approach ensures that all necessary dependencies are clearly specified and can be installed.
Yeah, so there aren't any dependencies. But let's try the command as given. So pipe env run install. So just tell me more about the... Just tell me more.
pipenv is a tool that aims to bring the best of all packaging worlds, bundle, development, and deployment to the Python world. It automatically creates and manages a virtual environment for your projects and adds, removes packages from your file as you install, uninstall packages. Key commands. Install dependencies. Install a package. Run commands within the virtual environment. Activate the virtual environment. Generate requirements.txt. Example requirements.txt generation. If you decide to maintain compatibility with pip users, install dependencies via pipenv. Generate requirements.txt. This will create a requirements.txt file listing all the dependencies managed by pipenv.
Okay, so I am going to install this and see what it does. Now, one thing the AI called out is that this doesn't seem to be a valid command. So let's test that first. Yeah, so the module collections has no attribute mutable mapping. So let's try it without run. Same thing. So we got a problem there. And then let's deactivate the virtual environment. because there's no instructions in the README for creating a virtual environment, aside from using this library, which perhaps might do that. So let's try it now. Okay, same issue. If we do it without the run, same issue. All right, so let's move down to the instructions. The community constructor is provided with a matrix and a distance. The matrix is a two-dimensional array of numbers. Numbers greater than 0 indicate neighbors that will anchor communities. All points in the matrix that are within the specified distance of a neighbor should be counted in the community. You calculate distance between 2 points as the sum of row delta and column delta. For example, from 2 to 1 and 0 to 4 would be the sum of the differences in the two dimensions. All right. So yeah, so we take the first one, minus it by the second one, and then the absolute value of that. So if this were 0 and this were 2, we get the same result, which would be 2. And then we add that by 1 minus 4, so we get negative 3. But again, these are absolute value characters, so we get positive 3, and the result is 5. The array dimensions do not wrap. That is, the first column should not be considered adjacent to the last column, and the top row should not be adjacent to the bottom row. So hints, data, test data uses -1 to show what the expected community should look like. These values are ignored by your code, but reviewing them can help visualize the distance calculations. Solved. There are many ways to solve this problem. Try to work it out yourself before looking at any other code. That said, there are several branches with hints, and different solutions. If you change the branch to look at the solution, check out the README of the branch. If you have a novel approach that is not represented in these branches, please create and push a branch on the repo with an appropriate name. So if we do a get branch, this is how it works. So in my local repo, all we did was pull down the main branch. So now we need to look at what branches there are in total in the remote repo. So we can do that with the command get branch -a. And now we can see we have an extra branch here, and the extra branch has the solution. All right, but let's try to solve this. So this is the cell grids neighbor problem. So let's get some. Introduce me to the problem. Yeah, each cell can contain a number.
The grid cell neighborhood problem involves analyzing a matrix where each cell can contain a number. The task is to identify and count cells that belong to a community centered around cells with positive values, considering a specified distance. The distance between two cells is calculated as the sum of the absolute differences in their row and column indices. Cells within this distance from a positive value are part of the community. The goal is to implement a function that correctly identifies and counts these community cells. Example breakdown. Matrix, a 2D array of numbers where positive values indicate community centers. Distance calculation, sum of row and column index differences between two cells. Community counting, count all cells within a specified distance from positive values. Steps, parse matrix and identify cells with positive values. For each positive cell, mark all cells within a specified distance. Return the total count of marked cells.
Okay, so this is what the problem is. You have to complete this file to get to the solution. So to do will be initialize a community. So let's remove. So there we go. You got to initialize the community. So community instructors, matrix and distance, all points in the data, array dimensions do not. Okay. Uh, all right. Well, make a list of the bad habits you've identified so far.
Bad habits identified. Incorrect dependency installation command. Using pipend run install instead of the correct pipend install.
Oh, really?
Lack of input validation. The community class constructor doesn't validate the input matrix in distance. Incomplete method implementations. Community class methods underscore underscore in and underscore underscore and get underscore count are not fully implemented.
Well, that's fine.
Dependency management. Not using requirements.txt file for easier dependency management and compatibility. Inconsistent documentation. Readme commands are incorrect or unclear, potentially confusing for new users. Recommendations. Ensure correct commands and documentation. Validate inputs in your class constructors. Complete all method implementations. Use requirements.txt for dependencies.
All right. So provide me with examples of the changes you would make.
Changes to address identified bad habits 1. Correct dependency installation command original. Corrected. Updated with validation. 3. Incomplete method implementations original. Complete implementation. 4.
Oh,
Dependency management with
validation.
requirements. TXT create requirements.txt. Assuming PyTest is used. Update readme. Run test corrected.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I gotta wrap things up because I just have this extra half hour here. Um, so I would like to. It'd be nice if I could solve this. But those are my two right off the bat instincts. You can install dependencies with. I think the best way to install dependencies is to do that command Python and then 3 or whatever -m for the module venv. I think that's the best way, and then you activate the venv, and then you do a pip install. I never really seen pip env being used. I don't know if it's maybe like a Mac thing or something, but this way of doing it should work on any machine. It's just the path that it generates might be different. So it would be venv scripts activate on Windows. So that's what I would do is change that. The other thing I can't help but notice is there are no dependencies. So you don't even need this section at all. Unit test is not a dependency because it's built into Python. You automatically have it. So running the program is not dependent on installing unit test because it's already installed and included in Python. So there are no dependencies. This is not how you spell prerequisites, but I'm the kind of person that is okay with kind of author quirks. So like that does not bother me. I think it would be prerequisite. Yeah, this is how you would spell it, but author quirks, as I said, are something I'm okay with. So spelling it this way is fine. It's not how you spell it, but it's kind of an author quirk. And then there's no dependencies, so there's no need to even talk about dependencies. And then the other thing is pimp env run unit test. There's some kind of issue where it doesn't work on my machine. But in addition to that, there should be like a if main equals name sort of thing where like it actually runs the code. There's nothing here that actually runs the code. There should be instructions for how you actually verify your result. Like, are you meant to do all of this in an interactive shell? Are you meant to run the files after you fill them out? Are you meant to write out not only the code that completes the class, such as the underscore init and the get count methods, but also the code that runs the class, that initializes the class, and that actually uses these methods. Is that part of the challenge as well? So yeah, that's my feedback. I've only got a half an hour for this. I can't really. It'd be nice if I could actually do the thing and solve the problem. But that's part of my feedback. Is like it's not giving you instructions for how you verify that you solved the problem. So like, and in order for it to do that, you have to initialize this class and you have to run the methods, and we can see that code is missing. So that's the end of my review, and yeah.